Start. Cool. Excellent connection.
All right, we're live. It looks like it. Here we are, Joe and Mike, buildassetsonline.com.
Oh my god, I got a notification. That was quick.
What? Maybe because
This is some broadband.
wow, maybe because we set the stream so early. I don't know. Anyway, we're back. We're back again. The allergies here in full force. The oak trees are pollinating, and we're answering 10 or more high-ticket dropshipping questions that we found in our comments that people have asked us, and of course that the audience has submitted. Todd, I can't see the
Toddy?
Yeah,
I
can't.
I thought you had 2020.
Yeah, I thought I did too. Maybe I got to revisit that. Maybe I got 2030 now.
It's not good. It's 2022.
Trying to make.
You know why? Because this light is in my face. Blinded by the light.
Yeah, so we're in a new studio, and are we lagging? Oh no.
No, we're good.
Sure about that?
I don't know.
We're frozen.
I'm trying to watch it here. 1 second.
There we go.
Yeah, we're good. Some stutter, but we're good.
Stuttering.
So how does it look to the chat people? We'll give it like 2 more minutes before we get into the questions. But how do we look to you guys connection-wise and sound-wise?
Yes, let us know. Let us know. Let me turn my phone on. Do not disturb.
It's a good idea. Yeah, mine's on moon mode already.
Moon mode. Let's go. You know, Joe, I don't like this lumbar support. I feel like lumbar support is a scam in a lot of ways.
Well, for me, my feet don't touch the ground in these chairs, so I feel like I need
Yeah, I feel like I want to...
something else.
Justin said we're good.
Okay, cool.
Man, Justin. Elite Fleet member. Commenter. Kenny Cullen, all good.
All
So
right. That's awesome.
we're concurrent. We're live.
Should we start
We're
getting
here.
into some of the questions? And then we could start with the ones from the chat. And then we
Yeah, why
can
don't we-
go to the other ones.
Why don't we do that?
All right. So, that's all right. Okay. So, ALB Lyric asks, how high should the margin between the buying price of the supplier and the selling price for the customer be? Is it harder to get suppliers for products over $5,000? Typically, I feel like in our experience, no, actually, I shouldn't say that because we've seen some really expensive product with some good margins, and then we've seen some really expensive product with some bad margins. I'm just
Yeah, it
thinking-
definitely varies.
Yeah, I don't think there's a universal rule to that.
But as we say in a lot of like our course material, and we talk to students one-on-one, it's better just to get the supplier and then see, because that's like the one thing that you will never know until you actually acquire the supplier. It can look like the best supplier on the outside, but then once you actually get into their system, you see that they're all a bunch of drunks. Their margins suck, and you know you have an issue. You try and come to them, they suck. So, but back to your question, ALB. I think as long as it's over 10%, then it's probably going to be worth your while. If you're making $300 on a $5,000 product, it better be really easy to sell, because the higher price point, typically the lower the conversion rate.
Yeah.
Just historically. So, number one, you have to factor in how much does it cost you to make a sale, but also you're taking on that risk of, you know, floating that $5,000 and risking if there's an issue, they have to handle this $5,000 customer, and you don't have that much that you're getting for it. If you're only getting a couple $100.
Yeah, I feel like what this comes down to, a lot of, this is why we really encourage like getting into the business. You know, getting your hands a little dirty, proverbially, even though you're just typing on a keyboard and clicking a few things, is that it's hard to know how you want to run your particular business until you get the suppliers and you start getting the sales. So I remember for our second store that we made, that we sold a while back, we had two product types that were the same. One supplier was really good margins, really expensive. The other supplier was a bit lower end, lower margins, less expensive, but it was still the same product type.
Right.
And I remember the biggest headache for the store was that we would just sell a ton of the lower end product, and the margins were like 10%, but we would just, the cha-chings were going crazy all the time selling this cheaper and more inferior version of the product. And honestly, it was a pain. I feel like if we were to go back in time, I feel like if we ended up selling the store because at the time we didn't have the, I guess you could say, not the expertise, but we didn't really know how to handle that. We weren't really that good at hiring people, so we're like, let's just get rid of the store. But looking back on it, I feel like if we would have just cut the ad spend for that initial, the supplier that we were doing the big volume on, but the low margin, and focused on the other stuff, then I feel like it could have been a lot better.
Yeah, I was addicted to the Chings for sure on that one, because you're right. And that product was like $999. We would sell them like hotcakes. Yeah. But you're right, we only had 10% margin on them. On top of that, they would not let us pay through credit cards, so we couldn't get the cash back. So we're taking the hit of the credit card fee, which is over 2%, and then we have to pay them, by check or whatever. So, and on top of that, we were also given like a 5% discount code. So we were making 10%, taking 5% off the top. So we only had 5%, and then we were losing another 2.5%. Yeah. So at the end of the day, we were only getting like $20, $30.
Yeah, it ended up being crazy. Like at the end of the day,
so stupid. But you're just doing it because you hear the friggin' cha-chings, and you're like a little rat in a laboratory, just getting hit with the dopamine. So all that to say, margin is important, but I don't want to discourage you from, say, selling a product that's $5,000 just because you make maybe $300, $400 on it.
Right.
It just has to work for you, and it has to make financial sense. If it's really easy to sell, it's just, it goes right out the door, people don't complain, then it's not a problem. I mean, that's still $300, $400. People work their asses off for 10, 12 hours a day just to make that much money, and you're sitting here complaining that, my margin's 8%.
Yeah.
So it all has to be in contact with your store and with the supplier, how good they are, etc.
Absolutely. I think, Nick, you could zoom out a bit so we could see the amount of viewers.
Yeah, I don't want to be talking to the void here.
Yeah.
We basically are, but it's all good. So, and he said, is it harder to get suppliers for products over $5,000? I wouldn't say it's harder to get them, harder to become dealers for them. I'd say there's just less of them.
Right.
There's more people selling $500 products than there are selling $5,000 products. So, we'll go to Joshua Smith. Is it better to use a landline number and appear as a national and reputable business, or a cell phone number to potential customers could text you instead of calling to get personal service? Well, you can just have a national number and you can get text to it through Grasshopper.
Yeah.
Grasshopper.com/
I don't know. Buildassetsonline.com/Grasshopper.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Yeah, I love the texting feature on Grasshopper. We use it all the time in our stores, in our land business, everything. And it's like, SMS marketing is like the next thing. Not that we really do a lot of it, but just for customer service wise, it's better than live chat because you have their number. You can like contact them later. If live chat, they leave your site, you can't get a hold of them. So
Jack says the link in the email is not the right one to the stream. So
I tested it out.
That's a problem. Trevor says, any tips finding suppliers that have maps specifically? Well, you're not going to know for sure until you call them, but, I mean, if you're looking at a bunch of stores that sell a product for the same price, that could be a good indication. So that's pretty straightforward. Just give us a second while Mike checks that out. I'm going to pull up some of the other questions that we
what the hell?
that we have here.
It is the wrong one.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Mike sent the wrong link.
Doesn't make sense because I double-checked it.
Yeah.
on like the first email, but then I copied it. So
Yeah.
whatever. What can we do at this point?
So Connor says, how does sales tax work with drop shipping? I understand you need LLC and EIN to get supplier contracts. Do you need a reseller certificate, tax exempt certificate? Who do you charge sales tax to? Well, what I will say is that when you do get your LLC and EIN, so depending on which state you do it in, if you're in the U.S., you may or may not get a reseller certificate. So, for example, if you're in Delaware, there's no sales tax, and you're not going to get a reseller certificate, but suppliers will generally be, like that's fine because you're in Delaware, unless they give one now. So who do you charge it? You definitely have to start charging it in your home state. Beyond that, it's going to be based on like thresholds and your statuses within the other states. But yeah, that's a whole separate thing. But I guess what you need to know for getting started and then consult with your CPA is that you need to be charging it in your home state 100%.
Someone has to pay the tax.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just a matter of who.
And then as you grow into a bigger business, will depending on the volume, the amount of revenue you're doing in certain regions, you may have to do it in other areas as well.
Word. Jack says, thank you for the great content, guys. What should we do when many retailers are selling below map and the supplier takes no serious action? The supplier has a high product demand, but I can't compete. Well, you really just need to treat that as if it's a non-map supplier, and we do see that happen from time to time, is that some suppliers will enforce really, really strict map. Some suppliers have map, but they really don't enforce it. So, if you can't compete, my question would be, do you think people are getting different margins than you? Because usually with map, people have the same margins about, so I'm not sure how they'd be able to, price themselves so low that you can't afford to compete. So, if you want to reply with that, then we can help you out more. But, typically in those situations, even if you can still make money on it, you really just have to not be aggressive with it. If it has high product demand and people aren't respecting map, you can still make sales even if you're not the best price. Number one, just don't have a price match policy for that brand. Just exclude them. And then secondly, just don't be aggressive when it comes to spending money on ads. We've had a few products that have been non-map that we've sold consistently, but the key is you just can't be, bidding $1 per click or be bidding, a lot of money, because you never know if someone's going to drop their price and it's going to, throw you out of the auction and all that stuff. And then also, finally, I'll say text ads are good because people can't, with Google Shopping ads, they can just see the prices right there and they're not going to click you if you're higher price. Text ads, there's not really a comparison situation, so they'll just click your ad, and then not everyone is shopping around and getting crazy about who has this price, who has that price. One of the products we used to sell, those conference tables we used to sell for several $1,000s. There was a point that they dropped their map, and we were getting out competed on price by $1,000, and we would still sell them. And I had no idea that it wasn't map. I didn't really care about the store. I wasn't checking the price, but all the while we were getting,
Do you remember? I remember one time we were at our parents' house, and we were, I don't know, for some reason we were in my room. I don't remember what we were doing, but some lady called, and she's like, "Yeah, I need 10 of these conference tables."
Oh yeah, I remember that moment vividly. Sorry, I remember that moment vividly. And no, we made that sale. That was I don't even know how much money we made on that. We sold we sold 10 or 12 of these tables, and it was a $24,000 sale. I think it was 50% margin off.
Yeah,
off the bat.
Our first that store where we sold the conference tables was crazy like that. It's we would make 5 sales a month.
Yeah.
Every month, but it always earned consistently. And like you said, we barely ever checked it. It was just, we made this. It was kind of our first thing into drop shipping. The store probably had 20 to 30 products on it, and it worked well. Yeah,
because when we first started and that was our store, it was impossible to know if we were actually doing things right or if we just sucked or, you know, if that was just the market. And it was the market because as we went on and made different stores, we saw like, oh, it doesn't have to be this difficult.
Well, I wouldn't say it was the market. I would say we were carrying such a small range of products. I feel like we could have well, I guess we couldn't have based on our domain name, but I feel like we could have grown the store in many different directions.
We could have, yeah, but I think just from that standpoint of the products themselves, they were very competitive and the costs were very high.
Mm-hmm.
So if you take that, you know, if the amount of products you have in the store is equal
Yeah.
for any of our stores, if we had a different store, it would have been much easier to make consistent sales. But this one, it was really competitive, but the margins were really good.
Yeah. But the point is, I mean, I guess we always talk about this point. It's like the competition doesn't really matter if you're going to just make a few sales a month and then make, say, $1,000 per month on a store and then sell it later. Like,
Right.
you know, I think that gets into the next question. Well, we'll get to Robin's question in a sec, but I want to get to Justin's question because I feel like it's relevant, which is, what's the next level for dropshippers? Warehousing products, private label brands, multiple stores. Just curious of your thoughts. So we talk about this all the time is once you can make a website, get traffic to it, and make the traffic profitable, the world of making money from your home computer opens up drastically. So what we like to think about is we're going in one of two directions. Once we figure out a business model that's working for us, it's what's the path of least resistance to expand this business model to get more out of it? And usually that's doing what you're already doing. So not warehousing products, not private labeling, making multiple stores, see if you can, so multiple stores would be the answer, seeing if you can execute on the second or third or fourth store better than you can the first one.
Yeah, and I'd say that first store really inspired that way of thinking that we teach to all of our students and inspired us to go with the portfolio type model of building websites because that's what we felt like was the next best path forward. Like we're like, okay, we have this ability now to go and create these stores and at least make some sales on them.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it just turned out that first store was some stores are, you make them and they're high volume and the path forward is just to increase your ad spend and see where that takes you. But some of them you have, and it's just a particular niche where it's really hard to scale. And so you have to accept that. And it could just be a store that's, you know, really passive, makes a couple sales a month, but they're big sales and you get a lot of margin out of it. And one of our students, for example, one of our mentorship students, he was in the same situation. He was in this really particular niche. It was really high price point. Margins were good, but it was just a product that was really hard to scale.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kept telling him this, and eventually he went and made a new store, and he saw that, you know, that second store he was able to make a lot more sales, is a lot more scalable. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but yeah, it's just that's how it has to be, and maybe it was destiny. Otherwise, we might have just had one store. We might have been, you know, just build one store online.
Yeah, no, but yeah, I can't emphasize this point enough is once you figure out how to do something, like you just have to do it again. And there's going to be a time where you might want to add to that thing. So before we once we figured out, okay, the drop shipping with the Google ads is working, we made 4 or 5 stores right away. We weren't thinking, like we just basically wanted to throw as much out there as we could so we can get as much information back as possible on the ads.
Right.
Once we were comfortable with that, we're like, okay, we've already kind of taken this to, I feel like, as far as we could take it comfortably, because it reached the point where I feel like from a team perspective, we couldn't really manage it, or we didn't really know what to do next with the ads, or we didn't want to just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again because we kind of did it to the max that we could do it. That's when we started looking into SEO, and that was in itself a multi-year project of trying to figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
So only you can really decide when you're going to take the next step. but you have to be careful of going into completely new territory, like private labeling products, because that's a whole new thing. And if it's gonna make you just an extra couple thousand a month, like it's not worth it. Like you might as well just make more drop shipping stores and sell them.
Exactly. People want to always move on to like new things, and they think it's going to be an easier path forward when changing up what you're doing. It's like I shudder at that idea now because I have so many things that I'm already doing that I know how to do. I just need to figure out how to do those things more rather than trying to like you say, okay, warehousing products, private labeling. And Justin, I know, whatever, no offense against you, Justin, but like the amount of effort that would take, it may not seem like it, but now you have to think about, okay, now I got to source this supplier. I got to source this warehouse. Who's going to run the warehouse? What happens if something goes wrong with this warehouse? It like opens up a whole new subset of issues when you just figured out how to run ads properly, how to get suppliers. And so you need to build off of those things that you already know how to do until you get to basically expert level, a high level of proficiency. And then you could think about, okay, what's next? Because if you've done that properly, especially with dropshipping, you just focus on ads and suppliers, literally, there's no reason you shouldn't be making as much money a month as, you kind of want. And then you say, okay, now I'm happy with this. Maybe I want to take this store to the next level. And maybe for that store, to take it to the next level, maybe I do want to private label something, or it's like a situation, but that's a situation where you're already comfortable. Like you're already making enough money and you've built up a very large asset pool for yourself before you decide to move on.
Yeah. So, I was listening to an audiobook today on the way here. It's a pretty old audiobook on investing. It's called One Up on Wall Street by Peter Lynch. And one of the criteria he gives for like, before you start investing into stocks, it's like, are you comfortable? Do you have a house? Do you need this money? Like, is it, if you invest this into because the point he's trying to make is like, if you go into new things from a position of desperation, like trying to figure something out, it's not going to work as well as when you're totally comfortable with what you were initially set out to figure out. And then you get into it. You're going to be way, way better off.
Yeah, exactly. And we can't harp on that point enough. It's like, until you're expert level at doing drop shipping or whatever you hear about.
And I want to say, and we recently sold another store on Quiet Light Brokerage. I think we're going to have the guy from Quiet Light on the show pretty soon, probably in the next couple weeks, hopefully.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty large dollar amount deal that we did. And so during that process, we talked to a number of people that were interested in buying the store. I don't know if you remember this, but one of the guys we talked to, he owned like a big, I think it was a drop shipping operation. Yes. Okay. And he basically, like, he just had, it was like a broad store, and he had just tons and tons of suppliers and basically just Google ads.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yes, I do. And to that point, there is no limit to the amount that you can take drop shipping.
Yeah.
I think personally I have a limit.
Yeah.
And
I have a limit.
How much?
Yeah, this guy had a place, I forgot where he was located, but he had basically an office building.
Yeah.
People in the office building answering calls.
Yes.
So he basically just took the process that we talk about and executed it to a very, very high level and just put in the infrastructure in place to manage the calls coming in and manage the traffic. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. So, we're teaching you how to make a website, get high intent traffic to the website. And, we teach you outsourcing as well. But from there, like, it's really on you to execute.
Yeah. I think for us, our bottleneck with that would be like accounting, probably.
Not anymore. I think we could do it.
All right, let's do it.
No.
All right, let's move on to the next question. I want to get to that Tiva question, but is it a good idea to have a broad store and try different niches under the same domain when we have the team to manage the job? Well, I don't like having a store that's too broad. So Jack, I don't know if you're one of our students, but there is like a Goldilocks level of broadness.
Right.
in my opinion, because if you're selling too many, just a wide variety of niches on one store, I feel like it doesn't work. And what we see is, I see this all the time with our students. They try and go too broad, and what happens is they wind up skimming from the top from a bunch of different niches, and so they get like the worst suppliers. And so now they're running ads for 10 suppliers that all suck.
Yep.
Too many different niches. Their budget is too low, and so now they don't know that screws them over right there. So what I'd rather see, you start with one store, couple different product types, you go really, really deep into those suppliers, you find like all the hidden product types that are there because they're always there, and then after that, you see where you can expand based on what's already selling.
I actually want to make a module about this specifically in our course, Mike, because this is actually something I was thinking about yesterday, how there's like multiple dimensions to picking dropshipping products. And I feel like sometimes people skip over like the depth of it. So we talk about, I don't know why we can't find this site anymore, but like a year or so ago, we found that site that was only selling sinks. And they were
Maybe
like,
they shut down because they weren't making sales.
I don't think they shut down.
They were popping.
They were doing good. But they basically had taken the sinks product line and gone so deep in it. But not every product line has that level of depth. But the point is like once you identify something like that, like sinks, like go all the way down.
Right.
You know, because the more sinks you're carrying on your store, and it's like think about the customer experience as well. If I'm looking for a sink and I go to this sink store, it's like, oh wow, maybe I want this sink, maybe I want this sink. You know, the customer is going to spend more time clicking around and finding like the sinks that they want. So going deep is, I think, very, very important. And I think we should, you know, that's something we should make a new lesson on, get more in depth about, provide some examples on that as well. Because obviously, and then when it comes to the SEO module the modules on our course, that concept, I think, is accelerated by that.
Right. So you're balancing a few different things, right? It's like the depth of the niche versus you don't want to be in a niche that doesn't have that depth, and then you wind up screwing yourself over.
It's okay to have multiple niches that don't have much depth, but when you do have the depth, I would go for the depth.
Right.
If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why we say, all right, pick like 3 different product types max.
Yeah.
And then you see which one works, because if you just start with sinks, maybe sinks suck. And then you've wasted all your time. You set up the sink store. Meanwhile, sinks don't have good margins, whatever, Kohlers, out competing you. And so now you got to make a whole new store versus we've pioneered the pivot model where if a niche doesn't work, you have sinks, you have tubs, you have, whatever, it's vanities. You can just pivot to whichever one is working, and then you can go deep on that.
Right.
Or whatever is related to that. Very, very closely related. So, yeah, we need to really kind of flesh this idea out in a way that people understand, because I think people hear us talk and they think, okay, just broad store. I'm going to sell everything.
You know what we're going to do? I think after this, what we should do is, since this store is shut down now, because we're talking, the second store we sold is now completely shut down. We sold it years ago, but it had multiple owners since then, and the recent owners just totally ran it into the ground.
R.I.P.
I don't know exactly what they did, but from what we understand, they were just not answering emails, just like terrible, terrible things. But I think what we should do for our students is
full dissection, a post-mortem.
Yeah,
if you
exactly. We should go into Wayback Machine, open the store, talk about the concept behind it, the idea behind it, the depth of each product line that we chose. I feel like that'll be an awesome lesson for our students.
That in itself would be worth the price of entry alone.
Yeah.
If the Wayback Machine works. So.
Oh, it works.
Okay. Yeah. Let's definitely do that, because it's easier to illustrate when you have, an actual store. And that, again, since we made it, it kind of obviously all those ideas are actually in that store. So for sure. All right. Tiva 3008. Super dumb question for a little fun. Ha 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 sa. Could you guys buy a Tesla with your online asset?
You could buy anything you want. I mean, you sell the asset, you have a large lump sum of cash. If you want to spend it on a Tesla, you could certainly do that.
He said, could you guys buy a Tesla with your online asset?
Yeah, you could. Teslas aren't that expensive. I mean,
Yeah. I don't know if this guy's trolling us or not.
I don't know either.
We both have Teslas. Okay. Well, that's the end of the questions right there. So we didn't even get to our list of commonly asked questions. So
We can get into it now.
yeah. So why don't we pick one here out of the hat?
And if you guys leave more questions in the chat, we'll get to those as well. Oh, we didn't get to Robin's question.
Oh, okay. Okay, move on to Robin.
What do you recommend as a foreigner, non-U.S. citizen? Dropship in the U.S. or stay in your home country? Any drawbacks to doing remotely? Well, I don't know which country you're from, but you know, if you can manage to get a U.S. bank account, U.S. business, definitely do it in the U.S. Again, I don't know which country you're from, but
Yeah, I'd say there's a good like U.S., UK, Canada.
yeah,
Those are all 3 solid places to drop ship. If you're in
Australia,
Australia, sorry. If you're in, South Africa or Rwanda or, wherever
Yeah.
you are, it may not be the best place. So
didn't we
again-
have a student that was doing it in Sweden?
we did. I think he's still around. He made some sales too. I don't know. I haven't talked to him in a while. We'll have to find him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, in Europe, it certainly works.
We had a guy in Ireland that was doing sales
Ireland,
as well.
it works.
So
So, yeah, I mean, in most developed countries, it should work.
yeah,
Um,
there's going to be definitely some tweaks you have to make in terms of contacting suppliers. If it may have to be a little bit more negotiate a little bit more, but
Yeah.
usually in other countries besides the U.S., there's way less competition, which
Yeah.
is good.
yeah, exactly. So there's drawbacks and pluses in every country, but
Yeah, it's obviously easiest for us to teach it within the U.S. because that's where we have most of our experience. I mean, obviously the
Exactly.
Google ad stuff still works, the SEO stuff still works, but
exactly.
it's hard for us to speak outside of what we know best.
Yeah, and what we've seen our students do. So, yeah, that's that. So let's get to some of these other questions here. We have. Should we start with number 1 or?
Yeah. So should you list your high-ticket dropshipping products on Amazon? So I feel like we know that people have done this. People were listed. So we know someone. We found sites that not listed on Amazon, but listed on Houzz, right? Basically,
Yes.
Let's
yes,
go
that's
back
true.
to the Amazon question. Probably not, because if you're running into any shipping delays, it's going to be really hard to manage on Amazon. And Amazon's fee is pretty substantial. It's like 15%. So I wouldn't bother selling on Amazon.
I'd say number 1, if you don't have another Amazon business like Amazon affiliate or whatever that you don't care about losing your Amazon account, go ahead. And if you can afford the 15% fee and it's a product that is actually good, I wouldn't just bulk list all my products on Amazon. That's a huge way to just run into problems. But if I had winners, good margins, hopefully consistent shipping times, then maybe go ahead. For us, it wasn't worth it because we have Amazon businesses. We had Kindle at the time too, so it was we didn't want to poke the bear.
But it goes back to Justin's question. It's like you're going into uncharted territory.
Right.
You've made sales on your website. You've done sales with Google Ads. You can go on to Amazon and maybe you'll get a little bit extra money here and there. But is that superior to making a new store? I don't know.
Joe,
That's the question
this is
you gotta
something
ask.
we've I think just with anything, you got a teenager, you tell them not to do this, not to do that. They're going to do what they want to do. And then eventually they'll come back and understand that your advice was sound.
Yeah.
Because if you think about our cousin, all the times we've told him not to do different things in business, not to give all this money for some stupid done for you, service, whatever, and just do. And this is just our wisdom now from, years and years of doing this. So, yeah, I think it's all right for people to, go out into the world, make mistakes, but hopefully they just keep this advice in the back of their mind.
It's hard advice to follow. I'm going to be honest with you. So the advice is like staying on track with what you're doing and doing things you know how to do. I find myself doing new stuff all the time for no reason. Like last night, I was like looking at expired domains to like buy and like, you know, do some SEO stuff where I merge different sites. And then I was like, after 20 minutes, I was like, why am I doing this?
Yeah, I mean, we had to try different things for us to even get to the stuff we're doing now. You're right?
I don't know. I'm having like bad allergies. Maybe I got COVID again.
Nice. You threw me off there. So I mean, before we had started doing dropshipping, we were doing a bunch of different things, and so we had to finally try this new thing. And I mean, I think we're known for doing different things. We got SEO, we got friggin' land, we have Kindle.
Yeah.
But I think the point is that we've done so many of these things. It's like we realize, especially if you're just one person, you can't do too much, especially out the gate until you've really mastered what you're doing and you can kind of do it.
Right. Master what you're doing, definitely. One of our new students that joined, he was doing a lot of different he tried he tried a lot of different drop shipping methods. And we were talking about them yesterday. I was like, look, pretend like you know nothing and just execute on what we're teaching. Because once you start to mix and match too many different methods,
that too.
It becomes problematic. Whenever we're not shy about the fact that over these past 7-8 years that we've been doing online business, I mean, how much do you think we've spent in courses for everything that we've done? 100,000, 50,000?
More than a Tesla.
Exactly. We've spent more on courses than we have on automobiles.
Yeah. So, right. But so whenever we do a course, especially now, we throw away everything that we've done in any previous course. If we're gonna do something, if you're gonna follow someone's like plan for execution, you have to follow it exactly.
Right.
You know, you try and mix and match things, and that's where you run into trouble. And then so it's like, it's hard to actually gauge if it worked or not because you've already messed with the formula.
Right. Exactly.
You can't be altering all these variables at once. So, let's move on to some of these other questions here. Best way to find untapped niches. Every high-ticket mentor says, don't use the lists you find online, but I swear those lists cover nearly every niche in some way. So it kind of goes back to what we were saying before as far as like the hidden product types. Because yes, like there's not that many industries like in the world of retail.
I think there's quite a few. I mean, there's a lot that I would say that I don't even know.
I'd say broadly there's not that many, like 100 different industries.
Right. Sorry, you're saying industries.
Well, my point is like, okay, he's talking about these niche lists that, you know, people hand out.
Right.
And so we've done the most broad products, like the most generic products that you can think of. Surely they're on the niche list, but it comes down to, number one, the suppliers you have. But number two, like if a niche list has a product type on there, there's so many variations, or like we call it shoulder niches.
Right.
That a product list could never cover because it's just like,
right.
So it would be too much.
Right. So a common one on product lists, I think, is like wine coolers.
Exactly. And we've sold wine coolers.
We have sold wine coolers.
Don't do it. Because everyone tries to do it.
We were successful doing it, though.
Right. I wouldn't say it was our main moneymaker, but the point was that
it led us to other things.
Right. So within the wine niche, there are like, you get into what the hell? Not the cellars. What are they called?
There are cellars like this.
No. Like, what are the places where you go? Is it a wine cellar?
Yeah. People, you were selling like I remember some of the like the filtration.
Right. So that's what I was getting to. There's like air conditioning units for the wine cellars.
Right.
And then within you have like the racks that go with the wine cellars and like all these little stupid things.
Right.
So are you going to put all that in a niche list? No,
Right.
You're not going to find that stuff. So those are your real money makers. Then you
Right.
get into like
right.
the kegerators.
So a good way to think about this, I think, is, and we're gonna go. Like I said, I think we're definitely gonna do this lesson. Sorry, these allergies are terrible. This week or maybe next week, we're gonna dissect one of our old stores inside the course to go illustrate this a little more. But yeah, it's important to think about when someone lands on your site, like what kind of experience do they want? Like when they don't know exactly what they want. Like if someone searches wine cellar or there's wine cooler into Google and they land on your site, like what do they want to see? Like what's going to be the best customer experience for them? Like you want to make it like they're walking into a store in real life that's not it's not Walmart.
Yeah.
But it's also not a store that doesn't only sell it's not Wine Coolers R Us.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah, it's somewhere in between there. And you have like I don't know if this exists, but like cellar doors. You're right?
Yeah.
They say it's one of the most beautiful words in the English language. Cellar door.
Why?
I don't know, it's like a quote.
I never heard
So,
that.
some author said that. It's like the most whatever. But you get the point, is that there's so many different random things that you'll never think of, just within one particular niche. And so that's the idea. And you can only find those untapped niches by being in the niche.
Right.
Otherwise, you're gonna spend your time going from niche to niche to niche. And again, this is what we see our students do too commonly. Instead of just picking a couple product types and then they get in with those and then they see what works and then they go really deep into that.
Right.
And even like the freezers. I think we made a video about this. Yeah, it was on our like 5 high ticket
The
drops.
commercial freezers.
Yeah, so there's like pharmaceutical approved freezers and
Nick,
all these-
can you get me like some paper towels or something?
Yes, sir. 1 second.
Thank you. Sorry, this is inappropriate for the stream. I feel like my allergies are so bad.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on in here. It's like a cat.
Yeah, there might have been like some sort of animal in this room or something.
A chupacabra.
Thank you. Oh God. I'll be right back.
Shout out Nick.
Nah, I'm walking away.
All right, well, I'm all alone. So, Fred Robbins says, what CPC do you consider high? I don't get branded clicks, even with $5 CPC. So, in my opinion, that seems like a bigger issue than a high CPC, because I can't imagine any niche where you wouldn't get any clicks with $5 CPC. It could be that I'm sure there's niches where, clicks are like $12, but you could still get cheap clicks. You just can't get that many of them. So it seems like a bigger issue as far as sorry, I'm watching Joe blow his nose behind the camera and it's throwing me off. Yeah, so Fred, if you're in our course, I would say definitely reach out and let us know, because I'd love to look at look at your ads account and see what's going on there. It could just be your campaigns are set up in some way that's throwing things off, and you don't have a big enough keyword pool in your branded campaigns. So I don't want to get too technical on this stream. You back?
Yeah, I'm back. I'm really excited about these new modules we're gonna do for people, because I feel like we go back, we look at our old stores, talk about the mistakes we made, what we did right, what we did wrong. I think it's gonna be really, really helpful, and I feel like we're starting to, to our students, we're revealing more and more. I mean, we got a blog site now that we feature in our course. We made it as a demonstration. It's making over $800 a month now. It's probably gonna be $1,000
Yeah.
next month.
Yeah, and for so long we couldn't talk about these websites because the non-compete whatever.
Yeah. Now that
But-
that's up,
Yeah, all
out the
bets
window.
are off. All bets are off. It's time to.
can't wait a couple more years to talk about some other stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah. We really it's gonna age like fine wine as we
In a wine cellar.
the non-compete seller.
Yeah.
Oh, so Sean the Don, what's up? Tiva says no troll. Ha ha ha. Love you guys. Yeah, some of our first videos are in a Tesla Tiva. Scotty Track. Hi guys, thank you for your live. How do you find products and niche ideas from France? Well, I think we just went in depth on that for about
Yeah. We went a lot in depth about that. I don't know if we
Yeah.
can answer that again.
yeah, so Scotty, I hate to just blow off your question like that, but we did just go off on that for like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So I would say maybe rewind, because I don't want to bore people who are already listening. Jack said, do you recommend using services that help with invalid Google ad clicks like ClickCease? we actually did try ClickCease for quite a while, and then our credit card expired. We had to get like a new one. I never renewed the service,
Yeah.
and I haven't noticed a difference.
Okay.
So I don't know. I was skeptical about it because I think what ClickCease does, like if people aren't familiar with it, basically it's kind of, it sets up with your Google ads and your analytics, whatever. And so like, if people, I guess to prevent like spam bots and stuff from like clicking your account and like clicking your ads, and you lose all this money to like invalid clicks, as it calls it.
Mm.
But I think it'll register if someone just clicks and then like bounces as like an invalid click, and then it'll ban their IP from
Really? That seems like a problem.
Right. So yeah, because I mean, I'm sure we weren't getting like bot clicks at the time, but again, one of our first stores, we had something called Lucky Orange on it, where you could basically see all the traffic that comes in. And I would just watch this traffic incessantly. Like I would just see everyone that's coming in and see what they're doing. Majority of people would just come in, look for something like 1 second, and then leave. But
that doesn't mean they're not going to come back later.
it doesn't. People are, we're in the TikTok era, so people, they have no attention span, but so at least they get in the door, they bounce, they're on your retargeting list, and you can retarget them later. So I don't know if ClickCease, like, I don't know if that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Is my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. How
Yeah.
much do you think it does worth to pay for general clicks? I don't understand. For general clicks. I wouldn't pay for general clicks. Like, what does that mean?
Like a generic
Oh,
Cost per-
generic.
cost per click.
Okay. I think it depends on your margin, right?
Costs 10 cents, 20 cents. Yeah, it's like, how much do you think it's worth? I mean, it's worth however much. Depends on how, the cost to get a sale. You have to adjust based off that.
Yeah. We're down to 6 viewers, Mike. It's almost at an hour, 45 minutes.
The video is having trouble maintaining smooth streaming. What's going on here?
Yeah.
We were good up until then. Just dropped, but we were good up until then.
No, I'm just messing around. But yeah, I mean, this could be a good time to
Yeah.
call it off. I mean, we didn't even get to majority of our questions, but
Save that for another day.
yeah, I think we saw from the people live the top questions concerning dropshipping.
Yeah.
A lot of it had to do with niches and product selection and stuff like that. And Joe, I mean, even like we talked about before, so many people search like high ticket dropshipping products or just like dropshipping products
Yeah.
that I think it is a huge pain point.
Yeah.
Is all right, they understand dropshipping, maybe they believe that it's a good way to make money, but what do they dropship?
Right.
And so maybe this needs to be our life's mission.
Well, yeah, I think we're going to expand on it. We're going
We
to
will.
think in the course we're going to reveal stores that we've sold that are out of non-compete at this point, talk about in depth what we did, and
By life's mission, I mean we're gonna make like a video on it.
yeah. All right. Why don't we end the stream here? Maybe we could take these questions if we have time and make individual videos on those. I mean,
Yeah.
We'll see.
Good idea. All right, guys. Well, this was good. Lot better showing this time. Appreciate it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Of course, if you want to see that video where we reveal one of our stores that, one of our big dropshipping stores that we sold, we're going to talk about the pros, the cons, everything. And of course, our entire business model broken down. buildassetsonline.com/playbook. Check that out. Anything else to say?
Take it easy.
Oh, shit.